do only that. This simple statement is perfectly clear, easily understood, and very easily remembered. The Holy Spirit never itemizes errors because He does not frighten children. And those who lack wisdom, and I will say, or experience of what is true, are children. Yet He always answers their call, and His dependability makes them more certain. Now, what does this mean in practical terms? It means that when you turn to the altar within you, and when you invite the consciousness of truth to be revealed to you by the Holy Spirit, the very manner in which that provision is made, the very tone of it, not only illuminates truth, but conveys to you the wisdom of your making the request. And the fact that in making the request and receiving the answer, it doesn't punish you, it doesn't uncover guilt in you. It is done in a way that is perfectly comfortable, kind. And this increases your confidence in reaching out to the Holy Spirit. Everything about the experience is confirming of the wisdom of what you've done and the safety you can count on in the process of the provision being made. Continuing, children do confuse fantasy and reality, and they are frightened because they do not know the difference. The Holy Spirit makes no distinction among dreams. He merely shines them away. His light is always the call to awake, whatever you have been dreaming. Nothing lasting lies in dreams, and the Holy Spirit, shining with the light from God Himself, speaks only for what lasts forever. What does the Holy Spirit? Your right mind, shining with the light from God Himself, speaks only for what lasts forever. You see, why would you not choose to yield into that forever and never once think about gathering the truth so that you might stop leaning into that and come back and be a better, more effective, more successful, independent, authoritative entity? Continuing, when your body and your ego and your dreams are gone, you will know that you will last forever. When your identification with body and your identification with your ego and your identification with your dreams are gone, you will know that you will last forever. Many think this is accomplished through death, but nothing is accomplished through death, because death is nothing. It's part of the fantasy, part of the strange imaginings. Continuing, everything is accomplished through life, and life is of the mind and in the mind. You remember what we were talking about last week? That this piece of paper that I can hear and that I can feel and that I can see is not out somewhere in front of me in space, but space and paper and sound and feel and appearance are all mental experiences. They are all going on in conscious awareness as ideas being experienced. Again, everything is accomplished through life, and life is of the mind and in the mind, capital M, mind. The body neither lives nor dies because it cannot contain you who are life. And I will add that because you are life, then your body cannot live or die. It can only identify your presence. Just as all of creation identifies the presence of God. Remember, you are not God, but God is all there is of you. The tree is not God, but God is all there is of the tree. When you abandon your obsession with awareness of body, you will be available to the experience of yourself as mind, in which body, the experience of body, is occurring. And then you will not be able to do anything to the body, and the body will not be able to do anything to you. You will simply be observing everything without an obsessive identification with any one thing you're experiencing. When you are obsessed with effect, your mind is not available to experience the cause. But when your mind is available to experience the cause, effect is seen in its proper perspective. Continuing, if we, you and I, share the same mind, you can overcome death because I did. Death is an attempt to resolve conflict by not willing at all. Like any other impossible solution which the ego attempts, it will not work. God did not make the body because it is destructible and therefore not of the kingdom. I must make this clear. God did not make the body as you are presently perceiving it, because the way you are presently perceiving it is as something destructible, and therefore not of the kingdom. The body, in other words, the body we're talking about here, is the symbol of what you think you are. You see, throughout the course, the distinction is consistently made clear. The body that is being talked about, that God did not make, is not the visibility and tangibility of an idea of God. It is the symbol of what you think you are. And you think you're independent. And you think you are an authorizer. And you think you are alone, and you think you are vulnerable. And you think that you have to, that engaging in life is engaging in defense. And from this crazy perspective, you look at the visibility and tangibility of your divine individuality, which is God presencing himself right where you are, and you define the body as a means of defense, as your shield, as the vessel which contains your will, and therefore gives this presence of an imagined identity substance and force, so that it becomes the means of inflicting your independent will upon your others and your world, so as to what? Secure your safety. That is the symbol of what you think you are. And that's the body that's being discussed here as not having been made by God because it's destructible. It, this symbol of what you think you are, called the body, it is clearly a separation device and therefore does not exist. This concept of body, this symbol of what you think you are, does not exist any more than the identity that you have defined for yourself, separate and apart from what God has expressed of himself right where you are, that constitutes you, which is eternal. Continuing, the Holy Spirit, as always, takes what you have made, this symbol of what you think you are, and translates it into a learning device for you. I want you to remember that I said before that when you take any part of creation, any part of God's omnipresencing of himself, of rendering himself experienceable, when you take any part of it and apply a definition to it and commit yourself to your definition of it, you block the experience of what that thing really is. And what that thing really is, because it will not function according to the definitions you gave it, will cause you to have experiences that challenge your definition of it, and therefore the definition of it that you're looking at becomes a learning tool. Or we could say what it really is becomes a learning device for you to bring you back into the conscious awareness of what it truly is. What it truly is will not conform to your definition, and therefore will be eternally, or at least for as long as you're trying to hold on to the definition, a trigger to a revised and more correct perception. Whatever of God you are denying will become for you a learning tool. Not because that's what it is, but because that's what your denial of it causes it to be experienced as by you. Again, the Holy Spirit, as always, takes what you have made, takes what you have made up, and translates it into a learning device for you. Again, as always, he reinterprets what the ego uses as an argument for separation into a demonstration against it. If the mind can heal the body but the body cannot heal the mind, then the mind must be stronger. Every miracle demonstrates this. We have said that the Holy Spirit, that which is nothing more than your right mind, is the motivation for miracles. And we could say the impulse for miracles. This is because He, the Holy Spirit, always tells you that only the mind is real, since only the mind can be shared. The body, the symbol of what you think you are, is separate, and therefore cannot be part of you. To be of one mind is meaningful, but to be of one body is meaningless. By the laws of mind, then, the body is meaningless. To the Holy Spirit, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. This is familiar enough to you by now, but it has not yet become believable. Therefore, you do not understand it and cannot use it. I want you to realize that when you identify yourself as a body, when you apply this strange definition to the visibility and tangibility of your individuality, you find accompanying that definition a plethora of sub-concepts, an unending list of justifications for the definition. And so as you apprehend, perceive this body that is the symbol of what you think you are, your mind is far from single. It's full of clutter. It is not pure without anything extraneous to it. It is infinitely populated with justifications for defense, justification for the way you see things, justification for exercising authority, and on and on and on. What you find when you turn toward the altar and you invite the Holy Spirit in is that the clutter dissolves and you become single of mind. And when you become single of mind, you experience clarity. And you want to know something? This clarity is infinite. It seems to you that when you meditate and your mind becomes stilled, that your attention has been narrowed down to nothing, right? Nothing is occupying your mind. But in valuing the silence and being willing to abide in the silence, you find knowing beginning to be felt. Not thought, but felt. And you have the opportunity to find that this silence is peace that is humongous, that is infinite. And if you will continue to insist upon abiding in that peace, you will find that peace to be the context for the infinite experience of creation, in which none of creation is outside of you. and it will alter your direct experience of everything that is immediately in front of you. The petal on the flower, the branch on the tree, the glass on the table. It is as though it's a paradox. When you abandon the clutter of the ego, and it seems as though your attention has become very narrow and focused on nothing, you are standing at the threshold of the conscious experience of peace that is the context of the infinite experience of creation itself, the infinite self-expression of God. That is what singleness of mind means. Continuing, we have too much to accomplish on behalf of the kingdom to let this critical concept slip away. What critical concept? That there is no order of difficulty in miracles. Continuing, it is a real foundation stone of the thought system I teach and want you to teach. You cannot perform miracles without believing it, because it is a belief in perfect equality. Only one equal gift can be offered to the equal sons of God, and that is full appreciation. Full appreciation is appreciation without anything extraneous to it present. It's indivisible appreciation. It is singleness of mind, singleness of intent. Only one equal gift can be offered to the equal sons of God, and that is full appreciation. Nothing more and nothing less. Without a range, an order of difficulty is meaningless, and there must be no range in what you offer to each other. Well, the only way you could have a range from difficult to easy, the only way you could have a range of anything to extend to your brother is if you introduce something more than peace into the picture. You see? It's only if you find a way to add something more than indivisible unity to the picture. Well, that's the problem of being you're already experiencing, right? Continuing, the Holy Spirit, your right mind, who what? Leads to God. Translates communication into being, just as he ultimately translates perception into knowledge. Communication seems to be made up of many things. Being is pure, single. Perception is made up of many perceptions, but it gets translated into knowledge, or what I've referred to as knowing with a capital K. And that's single, uncluttered with anything extraneous to the conscious experience of what God is being. Continuing, the ego uses the body for attack, for pleasure, and for pride. The insanity of this perception makes it a fearful one indeed. The Holy Spirit sees the body only as a means of communication, and because communicating is sharing, it becomes communion. Again, a singleness, a oneness. You might argue that fear as well as love can be communicated and therefore can be shared. It does sound reasonable, doesn't it? Yet, this is not so real as it sounds. Those who communicate fear, and here's the point, those who communicate fear are promoting attack, and attack always breaks communication, making it impossible. Egos do join together in temporary allegiance, mutually agreed upon definitions, but always for what each one can get separately. The Holy Spirit communicates only what each one can give to all. The Holy Spirit teaches only that which embodies unity. Continuing, He never takes anything back because He wants you to keep it. Who is this He? The Holy Spirit. What is the Holy Spirit? Nothing more than your right mind. Why would your right mind want you to keep what it has to give? Because it's your birthright. Because it is something that you must be experiencing. Because that's the experience that God impulsed into manifestation of Himself right where you are. Therefore, His teaching, the Holy Spirit's teaching, begins with the lesson to have, give all to all. Oh, but if you don't have all, how can you give all to all? Remember, all has nothing to do with quantity. All has to do with indivisibility. The moment you manage to silence the thinking in your mind, and it seems to you as though your awareness has been narrowed down to not being conscious of anything, you have moved in to a singular experience. The singular experience of peace. And until you've done that for the very first time, you're unaware that your peace is available to you without your having to govern your environment and get everyone around you to behave in a non-threatening way. Up until that moment, you have believed that the only way you can get peace is if you can control your environment and those around you into behaving in a way that is non-threatening so you can dare to relax. And your peace has depended on not only what everyone else is doing, but your capacity to control them. But the first time you meditate and you experience the absence of thoughts, and you experience the absence of fear, and you experience peace that has nothing to do with anything other than where you have brought your attention to, you have taken the first step out of the need for defense. You have taken the first step out of a conviction that you have lived with that you must control everything. Why? Because you have brought your mind into a singular experience. No, you have brought your attention into a singular experience. And this singular experience of peace is the ground of conscious awareness, mind. How do you give all to all? By giving a singular gift. Because in the singularity of it, in the purity of it, all awaits you and everyone else. The all that you can give away, the all that you are able to extend is that which has nothing extraneous to it in it. Peace is not the only singular experience. Joy emerges out of peace. Love emerges out of peace. Love is a singularity. Joy is a singularity. So, the Holy Spirit's teaching begins with the lesson to have, give all to all. Value the singular experience enough to have it, and then be with everyone and everything else from there, so that everything you do embodies that singularity. That's the first lesson of the Holy Spirit. And then, be careful. Because you don't want to say, like Joan of Arcadia, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Now I know how to do it without having to listen again. You see. Being is beautiful. Everything about existence is pure artistry. Everything about the process of awakening, of you coming back into your right mind, is exquisitely orchestrated, if I may put it that way. And every step of the way is a step to enjoy because of the manner in which it uncovers your innate integrity, replacing the sense of yourself that feels that it doesn't have any integrity and that it must create it. And it must create it by fooling everyone around it into believing that it has integrity and getting their confirmation to confirm it, and on and on and on. There is only ugliness in the ignorance of truth, but the emergence from truth is as exquisitely beautiful and artistic as creation itself. Open your eyes. I love you all, and I look forward to being with you next week. And again, I want you to look forward to my being with you all week. I hope you will be asking of me or the Holy Spirit, what is the Father's perspective here? Remember, my function is the same as the Holy Spirit's. Each of your guides has the same function I have and that the Holy Spirit has. To gently, lovingly, and supportively nudge you with an experience of safety into a more singular awareness, one uncluttered by irrelevant, static, and crap. Okay.